with Mayor Harold Washington. Jim, let's join you. We've been waiting for this. Okay, Jim.
Bill, Mayor Washington is now joining us along with his fiancée, Mariella Smith. As you can see, he's going to be talking to one of his aides now. Mayor Washington, we are live now on Channel 2. Mayor, I wanted to talk to you, first of all, the question everybody's been asking all night long. How do you define a mandate? Was this a mandate tonight, even though you only had the same amount of votes or same percentage of votes you had against Jane Byrne?
No, I think a mandate is a clear expression of the public sentiment. There was a good spread of about 10, 11, maybe 12 points between myself and the nearest competitor, and we got around 54% roughly. You couldn't be clearer. Not only was that clear, but when we ran in the primary, we got 53.5%. So it's clear, a solid majority of people in the city support our reform government.
It's always dangerous, of course, and you know, and you were reluctant to do it, to set up some goals for yourself as far as percentages are concerned. But it was mentioned through the latter days of the campaign. You thought a mandate, you would be in the upper 50s or middle 50s, and 60% was not out of the question. Did you fall short of that in your opinion?
I never give a numerical figure. I said a mandate. And I just refined the mandate. But that spread is a mandate, period. Someone else may call something else a mandate. I choose to call it not a mandate. I choose to call that a mandate, and we'll operate on that basis. And I think there'll be a consensus around it. The nearest competitor was 10, 12 points behind. True, the total vote was not as great as the vote 4 years ago, but then 4 years ago, that was an unprecedented vote. I also realized that in the primary election, we got the highest vote ever received by anyone in the Democratic primary. As a matter of fact, both Jane Byrne and myself broke the record. No, there's no question about the people of the city of Chicago having expressed themselves clearly about their feelings about this administration.
One of the things that some of the pundits and the experts have been saying, in fact, even on our station tonight, and I understand you were watching some of the commentary going on in your apartment tonight, was that evidence of a mandate would be a good turnout, a good vote for you in some of the white areas of the city of Chicago. Do you think that you've crossed the line now where you're not just depending on this 450,000 votes that everybody says you have in your pocket, that Edward Dole says you have in your pocket? Are you getting enough white support now to govern the city of Chicago without the kind of division that was here in the last 4 years?
Just for the record, we got around 20-some-odd% of the white vote. Just for the record, we probably got almost 60% of the Hispanic vote. And just for the record, the democratic process works on majority. It doesn't say anything about black. It doesn't say anything about white. It doesn't say anything about Hispanic or Asian. It says majority, majority, majority. Votes are fungible. One person, one vote. They don't look at the color. It's like a dollar bill. You use it.
Let's cover, if we can.
No, I think you ought to nail this point down because it keeps coming up. And we're talking about the requisites to rule in a democratic society. And in a democratic society, it says one person, one vote, and majority rule. It doesn't say anything about color, or sex, or race, or ethnicity, or anything else. But there seems to be a strange habit in Chicago of always delineating black majorities from white majorities from other majorities. I think it's dangerous. I'm trying to get away from that sort of thing. That's why I said tonight, let's talk in terms of unity. Let's forget the past. A majority is a majority is a majority is a majority. Who said so? Stein did.
What are you in a position to do now that you have won the second time to reach out where you could not reach out in the first, or where you can more unify the city than it would happen in the 3.5 years? What's going to happen? What are we going to see differently?
Well, the consensus has been taken twice, not twice, 3 times, on the issue of how people, the majority of people, feel in this city. They've expressed themselves at the polls, and the only place in which we're a democratic society expressing oneself is legitimate. And so clearly the people of the city of Chicago, the majority of the people of the city of Chicago, want to move a certain way. My point has been this: since the majority of the people want to move a certain way, let's move that way. And I call upon everyone here to assist us. That doesn't mean we're going to run over anybody. That's not what it's all about. I don't think anyone can accuse me of that. It simply means that let's move along the lines of the mandate we received, making adjustments based upon concerns and needs and differences of opinion as we go. That's all it says. With obstruction, no, that's not to be tolerated. I don't think most people want it. And I think unless one makes up his mind that if you live in a democratic society, you have to go along with the trend, and the majority will, then you don't have a society. You don't have a democracy.
Is there any opposition left now, do you think? I'm talking about what you call obstructionist opposition. Any of that left now in the city council? Ed Berdoliak is gone. He talked to you this evening on the phone. Did you get any impression he's going to try to come back to the city council and do something like that?
No, he didn't discuss that. I don't think there's any more blind opposition. I think that's been quelled, if that's the word I can use. I don't think we're going to find it on any long-term basis. You don't see that in other cities. You just don't see it. You don't see anyone in other cities stand up and say, I'm going to stop this mayor for 4 years so that I can defeat him in 4 years. They don't say things like that. They don't do things like that. Opposition, yes. Spirited, yes. Rough, yes. Tough, yes. But to the brink of disaster, no, it's just not done.
And is that over with now in the city of Chicago?
I think so. And I expressed that tonight. That's why I said, let's put this behind us and move on. I suppose there'll be more dialogue on this subject for purposes of clarity, but as something to dwell on out infinitum, I don't think it would be healthy. I have no intention of doing so. I'm not in the business of recrimination. I'm not in the business of punishing anybody. I'm in the business of trying to run a city and run it right and run it fairly.
Mayor, they're trying to hand you something to put in your ears with it.
No.
Go back there on the station.
No.
Okay. Let's continue our conversation then, if we can. About during the 3.5 years before the campaign really started, at what point do you think you sat down with Harold Washington and said to yourself, I have a chance of being a second-term mayor, that this is going to happen?
I had no doubt about it. I saw it when I moved through the streets and talked to people. I saw it on the north side. I saw it along the lake. I saw it in Pilsen, Little Village. I saw it on the northwest side. I saw it in Sunsock. I saw people beginning to lower their resistance to our administration. Not to the point that they accepted everything we said, or even most of what we said, but attitudes changed over a period of 4 years, and I saw that. I saw it every day. The polls, I must confess to you, reflected to a certain extent, not popularity contests, but attitudes that changed. You can see them. I compared polls taken in 1983, 84, 85, with polls taken in 87 and 86. Vast difference.
What about the votes tonight as far as the automatic races? Did you accomplish what you needed to accomplish? You won the big victory in the 31st ward, apparently. What is the city council going to look like now, do you feel?
Well, the returns are not in, and, you know, as Yogi Bear says, it's not over until it's over, but it looks as though we may have a council philosophically in tune with the reform movement. And if that's true, then I think it argues well for the city. I hope so.
And beforehand, I know that some of the people in your camp were predicting, and I'll give you names if you'd like, but it wouldn't mean anything to our viewers, that you would have 30 votes in the city council. Do you think you're going to have 30 votes in the city council?
Oh, I wouldn't predict 30 votes, but I wouldn't be surprised if we had 30 votes. I think we have a clear majority, yes. I feel that way. Time will tell. This is the funny thing about this business. Once you get a majority, you can get a supermajority rather quickly if the forces come together right and if you handle it right.
These aldermen who have made overtures to and support you, will they go on the other side and try to block you again in the next few years? We're talking about aldermen such as Mel and other ones in the
I don't want to mention any names, but overtures have been made to us. We've made overtures to others. I mean, we're trying to, and have been trying to, not just today, last year and the year before that, trying to get a working, cohesive operation. But let me quickly say, I don't think Chicago should think in terms of unanimity. Unity doesn't mean unanimity. It simply means you work for the common good, and when you object to something, you do it in a legitimate fashion. But unanimity is not what it's about at all. And I get the impression some people are sliding over very easily into that unanimous aspect of it instead of just saying yes. Majorities change. They float and shift depending upon issues. But if there is a common grain and strain out there that says we must strive to keep things moving, that's all you can ask for. That's all I ask for. I didn't ask for unanimity. I asked for unity.
Let me close here by asking you about you looked incredibly happy. You were able to see a smile on your face. You're saying pretty well up there on the stage.
You're a nice guy.
What are your feelings now? I mean, you've won the second term. You have beaten your arch enemy in the city council, Ed Berdoliak, by 10, 11, maybe 12 points. The person who was closest to you, probably in popularity, Jane Byrne, you also defeated her, and now she's on your side. How do you feel today?
I feel good. the fight defeats that's behind me. I won't wallow in that. Have no intention to it. We'll move ahead and try to get the city moving even better than it's moving in the last couple of years. And I think it's been moving rather well for the last 12 months. We've got some big ticket items we got to work. Dropout funding, decentralization, and institution building to support our school system are things we're going to be dealing with. Housing, big ticket item. We have the techniques. If we can get just a modicum of luck, providence from our council, from our United States Congress, we can move. Jobs, 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 which means that the private sector is going to be stimulated more by what we're trying to do. We'll be the catalyst. We'll work with them. We'll do all we can to get this city moving. So that's what I see in the future. That's what I'm thinking about tonight. That's what I'm going to be thinking about even on my limited vacation, wherever I take it.
Thank you, man, for joining us. Mr. Smith, thank you for joining us. You still have that ring on, I see. It's just as large as ever. You're going to make good on that, I guess, this 4 years.
Soon.
The perennial soon. Mayor Washington enjoying his evening. The second term will begin, of course, and he's won it in convincing, if not mandate fashion, if everybody will agree. Back to you in the newsroom.
Well, Jim, you tried to get it all out of him tonight. I mean, he did so well there.
I was wondering if Jim would get around to that question or not.
Very good. We're going to continue our coverage in a moment.